Welcome to the sound of the start of winter and the weekend. The NTT20 betting show sponsored by Sky Bet. It's for over 18s only because it's me, Ali Maxwell. It's him, George Ellick, making betting picks ahead of a full slate of EFL action. And because we're making betting picks and betting comes with significant risks, we ask that anyone listening be gamble aware and understand the risks that come with gambling. If you don't, head to gambleaware.org to brush up on them. There are some fascinating games, George. There's something about this full slate that I'm very, very excited about, although a little concerned about cancellation/postponements due to frosty conditions. I'm off to posh Stockport tonight, but a Thursday night football, which is why I've got my
I'm jealous.
NTT20 beanie on.
And you're wearing 2 t-shirts.
Yep. Well, it's really cold out there.
But I didn't want
And
to say
it's
this
turned
off air,
quick.
but if I were, you've got a bag on you. You're going to be taking a bag to the stadium tonight. If I were you, I'd have dressed for the day and I'd have packed what I wanted to wear tonight rather than just going full hog from 8 a.m.
I'm one of those guys, and you'll learn this about me the longer you get to know me. I just go all in. I just go all in all the time.
To know you even better.
Seriously though, if you've been out the house today, maybe yesterday, and you felt cold on your head, NTT20 beanies are available on the link in the description of the podcast, and they're high quality stuff. This is good quality produce. A bit like our podcast mission statement. We try and achieve quality rather than sort of naff tat in podcasting and also in podcast merchandise. And hoodies. Those are nice as well. Check it out on the Banana Moon link that's in the description of the pod. We got the Lancs Derby, Preston Rovers on Friday night. We've got new managers in the Championship, or certainly one in Philippe Clement that will be taking charge of his first game. Bolton Bradford in League One stands out to me. Notts County Colchester, I think, could be one of the greatest League Two games of all time.
Wow! Based
on the sort of styles of those two teams, the fact that what makes Colchester most dangerous is probably Notts County's kryptonite, but Notts County, very, very, very good side. So lots to think about.
The pod listeners have really had a disservice of not seeing your bizarre hand actions throughout that little chat, but yeah.
I wonder if I might be delaying mentioning last week, which was one to forget. One winner for me, the beautiful Jake Beasley, ex-Geasley, scoring anytime at 11-4. None for you. Lots of hard luck stories in there. If you don't mind, we'd prefer to look ahead at this weekend, and I'll ask George. Hey, George, what's your best bet? What's your nap?
Hey, Ali. I've taken a view here that because of the weather forecast and the amount of freezing that's going to be going on overnight up to Saturday, I've kind of focused on the Championship where we're less likely to have postponements, because we've had a couple of pods in the past where we've done loads of research, we've done a podcast, and we get there and there's like one game on. Yeah. And it's a waste of everyone's time. So I'm focusing on the Championship this week. And my best bet in the Championship is Bristol City to beat Swansea.
Thought it might be.
At 23-20. Well, I did tell you earlier. Multiple reasons for this. Starting with Bristol City, yes, they come into this one in poor form before the international break, having lost 2 games in a row and then drawing away at Watford in a game where they were second best. The international break came at the perfect time for them, really, because a big reason for that dip in form after what was an incredible run that came before it was injuries and lots of key players missing. And I think the knock-on effect of the injuries ended up being players effectively just being knackered. The likes of Emma Rees and Scott Twine and Anis Mehmeti were just being flogged every week, and without many players there to replace them. Sinclair Armstrong had a decent showing at times, but it's not a particularly deep squad, and with the injuries that they've had, both in attack and in defence, it kind of caught up with them, and I think they will be much the better for this break. Gerhard Struber has discussed the players that are coming back, the most important of which is, of course, Jason Knight, who's back from injury. Whether he starts here or not, he will certainly play a part, and that's massive. Ross McCrory is back as well. I doubt he'll play, but Pring, who's been out since pre-season, is also back. Emma Rees missed the last game, and I'm sure he'll come back into the side. So they should be a much better team, unlike Swansea, who are missing Ben Cabango and Josh Tymon, who are both suspended off the back of their last game before the international break. Swansea also, to me, feel like a bit of a sad case at the moment, where they are still looking for a new manager. It seemed like they were going to be hiring Vitor Matos from Marítimo, but news breaking earlier today that Darren O'Day, their assistant manager, will continue in interim charge, which would suggest that they either that has fallen through, or the very best case scenario, they're not expecting to make the appointment before Saturday, and they're still hopeful to next week. But either way, given what happened with Kim Hellberg, the manager they were hoping to appoint, who's now going to go to Middlesbrough, it's been a bit of a shambolic recruitment process up to now, and it can't have gone the way that they hoped. Having sacked Alan Sheehan before the break, I'm sure the club were intent and hopeful to have someone in place going into it. Unlike often, I know people talk about new manager bounces. The reason for those, as we've discussed many times, is because often the underlying numbers and the performances aren't quite as bad as the results. With Swansea, they are. The underlying numbers have been terrible for a while now. Their attacking numbers are really, really poor. And I don't really see any reason with those two players missing for them to improve. So obvious reasons why Bristol City, who are the better team anyway, should get better coming into this game. Massive concerns about Swansea. No managerial appointment incoming. A pretty nervous fan base. And a side that, to me, unless they improve, are destined for a relegation scrap. So anything odds against Bristol City is good enough for me.
Is that it?
That's it.
I just love your pronunciations of
Marchimo.
any foreign proper noun.
Marchimo.
It's like that it's going to have some sort of flavour to it.
Just got to add some flavour.
But no real interest in actually, digging down on the language at play, I know the accents at play, and working out how that might sound.
You just want to turn everything into like a ch, don't you? Like Fred is like Fregi, and like Maritimo, therefore must Marichima. Same thing.
It is, yeah.
What is it? How do you say it?
Marítimo.
It's exactly the same thing as what I said. You just said it faster. Marítimo.
No, we're putting the emphasis on different I's there. Mine's got an accent on it. I'm looking forward to someone. We've got a long-term Portuguese friend of the pod called Tiago Borges. Tiago Borges.
Mate, it's Borges.
And I'm hoping we might hear from him telling us how wrong we both are. Yeah, that's what I said. My nap are Milchenkins dons. Milchenkins dons. Milchenkins.
Johns.
The gym from Milchenkins. Who are MK Dons are 29-20 to win at Tranmere, 2.45 the decimal with Sky Bet. Start with Tranmere because it's kind of Tranmere led, like a wet lead pub. This is a Tranmere led nap. Tranmere have kept one clean sheet in 16 games. If Tranmere were going to be good this season under Andy Crosby, and I thought they might be, I saw it being 0s and 1-y, sort of Wimbledon 24-25-y. And it's not that at all. It is not that at all. One clean sheet in 16, not how I thought it would be. They won last week at home, can you believe, against Cheltenham Town. And this will go down as one of the more fortunate wins of the season because the 3 goals that they scored in this 3-2 win were an own goal by one of the Cheltenham centre-backs who just finished a cutback really nicely past his own keeper. The second goal where the other Cheltenham centre-back played a short pass back to his keeper, which was intercepted and finished off by Joe Ironside. And then a free kick, a nicely struck free kick by Charlie Whittaker, but one that was legally and technically off target, hit the post, bounced out of the goal, hit the goalkeeper on the back and went in. So I'm calling huge fortune, I'm afraid, and that's probably annoying to hear. And it's only going to get more annoying when I point out that before that, 6 home games without a win in the league for Tranmere. When I say that, all 4 of their league wins this season have come against teams currently in the bottom 6. Their record against the top half is 4 draws, 5 defeats, not a single win. In the last 12 games, only Newport and Harrogate have picked up fewer points in the league than MK Dons, and there is no chance MK would be anything like this price against Newport or Harrogate. MK have the best away record in the league this season. They have, and I cannot ignore this or gloss over this, far exceeded their underlying numbers. They are not projecting in terms of performance data as the strongest team in this division. However, in terms of results, they are right up there at the moment. And I'm not going to get into why that could be, whether they will regress or not. I personally think that they do need to start playing better, but there's certainly a bit more confidence now that players have come back from injury. And you look at their starting 11 with Sanders, Ekpateta and Offord, the back 3 in front of McGillivray, with Tomlinson and Nemain, the wing-backs, Gilby, Kelly in midfield, with Callum Patterson in the 10 behind Mendes Lang and Hepburn Murphy with speed and skill up top. It's a hell of a team. And that's before you mention that off the bench comes Dan Crowley, Will Collar, John Mellish and Kane Thompson-Sommers. They've got some excellent players, even if their numbers aren't great. Tranmere, poor numbers, poor team. I think MK win this. I think 29-20 is standout value. So that's my nap. Next best.
Going to take a bit of a swing at Stoke, who are away at Leicester this weekend and are 13-5, I should say. 13-5 Stoke are, which means Leicester are even money to beat Stoke. And Stoke are a funny one where, in a similar way to what you're saying about MK Dons, I'm not entirely sure they can maintain their start to the season. But under Mark Robbins, they are clearly a very good side. They have a lot of good players, especially in attacking roles, who are playing very well. Sorba Thomas being one of the standout players in the league this season, but Devin Mabama, who comes back to club duty, having had a brilliant international break with the under-21s. Milian Manhoof, who's come back in the side and looking sharp again after a decent start. Stoke are very much kind of an upwardly mobile side at the moment in the Championship, who went into the international break after a bit of a lull. In decent form, having beaten Bristol City 5-1, having beaten Oxford 3-0, and then there was that 1-0 game against Coventry, where Coventry scored very late in what was a tight game between two of the better teams in the league. So even if Stoke may not maintain the current PPG, there's no denying that they are one of the better teams in the league over the course of the season so far. With Leicester, they are a huge variance team in my mind. They're a team who can look in some occasions like one of the better teams in the league, but their floor, their base level performance, their bottom level performance is really poor. And they lost 3 consecutive games up against Hull, Leicester and Blackburn. They won last time out against Norwich, which was the end of Liam Manning's reign, but they were 1-0 down in that game pretty late. They only won 2 games in the league dating back to the end of August. They are, like Marti Cifuentes is coming under pressure. They don't look to me to be a particularly a side who are particularly well drilled or consistent or able to be the better team in most of their Championship games.
I'm so with you. I have been so underwhelmed with Leicester, and increasingly so over the course of the season.
Yeah, I agree. So in that sense, I can't really work out. I'd find it almost impossible to make a case for why they should be significant favourites for this game at home to Stoke. So for them to be even money just seems incredibly short. And I'm happy to get against them and take a swing at Stoke at bigger than 5-2, 13-5 with Sky Bet.
Nice. I consider that for my nap, but didn't have the gonads. So there you go.
What's your next best then?
Big gonad guy. George, I haven't had a next best all season.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I always forget.
Goalscorer Corner. Let me take you on a League One goalscorer journey. Goalscorer Corner had a winner last week. We were feeling good about it. And actually, I would have loved to have seen the price of Jake X Jeasley at Exeter this weekend, but that game already called off, not on account of the ice, on account of the fire that took place at Exeter's ground this week. And yeah, wishing them well with the recovery of that area of the ground. Not able to host the game, and X Jeasley's scoring streak will have to wait until next weekend. Laurent Tolai. We've heard that name before. He's 3-1 to score for Plymouth Argyle against Port Vale. I'm putting 1 point on Laurent Tolai anytime. It's the 4th time I've picked him this season on Goalscorer Corner. The first time I picked him to score for Vale, only for him to be transferred to Argyle between the betting show and Saturday. So that was a void. Then he scored for me at 5-2. And then he scored for me at 11-4 as part of a Trixie 2 weeks ago. Here he is out at 3-1. Playing against his former team, whom he left at the end of August. The match itself could be absolutely anything. I'm pretty happy to have a watching brief on Port Vale this weekend after last weekend. They were my nap. They drew 0-0 with Wickham. Had a pretty good time thinking a lot about Port Vale on account of my Twitter mentions being on fire for most of the weekend. Pretty much the only thing I'm sure of in this game, because you could tell me Argyle will win 3-0 or Vale will win 3-0. I would believe both. You could tell me it'll be 0-0 or 3-3. I'd believe pretty much everything.
7-2?
7-2, I wouldn't.
Tolai 7?
Probably wouldn't believe you.
Okay.
The only thing I'm sure of is that Tolai is still, and pretty much every game, a constant threat. Anytime has landed in 5 of his 11 Argyle matches in League One so far. Takes over 3 shots a game. 3-1 is a generous price against a team in Vale who kept a clean sheet last time out against Wickham, but Wickham missed 3 or 4 big chances. And previous games against Bolton and Stockport, they conceded 7 across those 2 games. So I really like Tolai at 3-1. Cameron McGeehan next up. A full point on Cam McGeehan 5-1 for Northampton at home to Cardiff. It starts with Cardiff City, really. They're quite short to win this game at Northampton. I think there's probably a bit of juice in the cobbler's price because Cardiff's 1 clean sheet in their last 11 in all competitions shows what's been pretty clear is that they've completely lost any idea how to suppress the opposition and keep them at bay. The stats in their last 4 league games are astounding, really. 26 shots faced against Leyton Orient, and then again 26 shots against Reading, 17 by Bolton, 19 by Blackpool last time out. Just a huge shot against numbers, really concerning. They faced 11 shots on target against Orient, 10 shots on target against Reading, 9 against Blackpool, just the one against Bolton. It was that Cozier Dewberry screamer right at the end. You know, that they have been not just giving up a lot of shots, but they're good shots as well. They're on-target shots. They are not defending well. Now, they're up against a team in Northampton who treat goals like they're sort of rationed food. 12 in total in 15 league games is obviously not great. But they won last time out against Mansfield, 2-1 at home, and I'm sure they'll have chances here. Their most likely goal scorer, well, it's between Hoskins, Wheatley and McGeehan. But Hoskins is injured. Wheatley is an option, but doesn't have many goals to his name this season. And McGeehan edges it for me, because comparing him and Wheatley using the Opta Analyst site, marginally more XG per 90, more shots, 2 to Wheatley's 1.5, more shots on target per game, and the 4th most shots inside the 6-yard box in League One this season. McGeehan is one of those midfielders who takes up pure poacher positions once he gets inside the box. So don't forget that he is a proper goal scorer, even if nominally plays as an attacking midfielder. And then last but not least, half a point on Owen Bailey of Doncaster, 13-2. A fairly similar logic here. Bailey's a number 8, whose shot location suggests that he's basically the heir to ex-Jeasley's throne. Look at Owen Bailey's shot map on FOTMOB while I'm talking to you, George. I actually thought you might pick Donny to win. They're a pretty chunky price at a Stevenage side whose recent performance data is really poor.
Just worried about the weather.
Worried about the weather. My stance on Donny, I think yours as well, is that the last 2 games against Barnsley and Lincoln, they've lost both of them by 2-1. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that on the balance of play and their performances, if not their final execution, they've been probably the better side in both. If they play like they did in those 2 games at Stevenage this weekend, Stevenage side whose own performances have been pretty ropey in the last month or 2, there's every chance that the result falls in their favour this time. And in Owen Bailey, look, we have a guy who scored 4 in his first 6 league games and then only 1 in the last 10. If you look at it as a season total, anytime has landed in 5 of his 16 games, which is really, really impressive. And it's not the case that it was just complete like freak of nature that he scored those early season goals, because since his last goal, which was 9 games ago, he's had 20 shots, a number of them, and pretty much all of them, really close range shots. He has taken the most shots inside the 6-yard box in League One this season. And if I think Donny are a good price this weekend, and I think that Bailey consistently gets on the end of good chances for them, as he has done recently, even without scoring, then 13-2 has to be value for me. Half a point to finish off Goalscorer Corner on Owen Bailey at 13-2. He joins a point on Cameron McGeehan, 5-1 of Northampton, and a point on Laurent Tulai, 3-1 at Port Vale.
I've got 2 goal scorers this week. One of them is a regular for me, and I can't understand why the guys, our friends at Sky Bet, continually disrespect Joe Gelhardt, who is 4-1 to score any time for Hull at QPR. There's a bit of a bonus tip in here as well. If we still did kind of a goals bet, I would have over 2.5 here, and even money is my strongest goals bet I can remember in a long time. I just cannot understand why under 2.5 would be favourites in this game. You've got a Hull team who, as we know under Sergei Yakirovich, are the league's entertainers. Their approach to games is just relentlessly attacking. They are pretty bad defensively. Their games pretty much always descend into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
They have good attacking players in Joseph, who causes carnage, but then obviously McBurney and Gelhardt is the focal point of it and the key goal scorer. Hull's defensive record this season is the 3rd worst in the league. Their goal scoring record is the 2nd best. QPR's defensive record this season is the 4th worst in the league. Like, this just is a game that screams goals to me. And I think there's some historical pricing as per what QPR normally are and what Hull normally are that are going into this, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. And obviously goal scorer prices are linked to the goal line. So the fact that this is an unders game according to the market would mean that if I'm right, then there will be overpriced, the players who are overpriced in the goal scorer market. And Gelhardt has to be the one for me at 4-1. And then also I like Lewis O'Brien for Wrexham at 11-1 anytime at Ipswich.
Yeah.
Ipswich very short for this, too short for me. I think there's 5-1 about Wrexham, which looks a fair bet. But we know that Wrexham have clicked a little bit under Phil Parkinson the last couple of weeks, are a better attacking force. O'Brien's already scored 3 goals this season. It's come from just under 3 XG, so it's not particularly, it's not necessarily a hot streak. He's taking up pretty advanced positions with Kiefer Moore playing as kind of the lead target man. It, benefits those players who are making runs from midfield in order to get into the box and either play off him or be there to pick up the loose ball when the crosses come in. He's very much been given that license under Parkinson to get into the box. He's also missed a couple of big opportunities as well this season. And Ipswich by no means impenetrable this season. In all of their games, basically, even the games where they're winning, they're still conceding chances. So Lob at 11-1, half a point on him, and then half a point on Joffrey at 4-1 for Hull.
If Lob scores a lob, it'd be one of the great moments
Has he ever scored a lob?
on the betting show.
He doesn't strike me as a lob kind of guy.
He's not, unless he's been working on it over international break.
I think if he had the opportunity to lob, he'd bring it down and charge a goal.
Yeah.
Like head down, like, yeah.
And if he plays golf, he's not a lob wedge guy. He's bump and run.
For sure.
He is a big bump and run.
Maybe even putting from off the green.
Huge bump and run energy, actually. Now that the more that I think of it, the more I think that's a good analogy. Let's do an Eggman, I reckon. It's at 37.1 with Skybet. It's a fivefold. So just a gnat's bigger than 36-1. It's quite a lot of 12.30s in here. And I'd like to apologise to absolutely nobody for that. Coventry at home to West Brom, 3-4. I think West Brom are in a tough spot pre-international break. There are a couple of teams, Bristol City, for example, where I felt like the break came at a great time because a bit of rest, a bit of recuperation for some of the lads like Jason Knight and others. Emma Reese, who's been obviously pretty exhausted, would be a good thing, and that I'd expect post-break them to get better. I don't necessarily have the same feeling when I think about West Brom. I'm sure there'll be players who benefit from a rest. I'm sure Ryan Mason would have appreciated the extra time on the training pitch. But both in terms of results, in terms of numbers, in terms of the eye test, and if I'm honest, in terms of the sniff test, I'm not feeling good about West Brom at the moment. They've lost 5 of their last 6 away. They're going to the best team in the league by miles. They create so little, and I expect Coventry to keep on rolling here. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be bang up for it, bang at it. I do not see there will be a point where Coventry go on a run where they don't win every 3 of every 4 games. And it will be hard to see coming, let's be clear. But I just don't see it coming. That's my point. I don't see it coming.
It will happen, but you can't see it happening.
Was that good podcasting? Because it's my first time.
Really good. Yeah, it was a convincing discussion about why you're an idiot.
I'm hoping to make a career out of it, so hopefully I haven't done that any harm. Bristol City 23-20. Guess what? That's George's nap, and he's already told us about it. But yeah, as I mentioned, I think break came at a good time, and expecting them to beat a Swansea side who, wow, I mean, Darren O'Day and Richard Searman taking the team, they're not going to be the managers. I think we know that. I think that there could be a real sort of vacuum leadership-wise when it comes to Swansea. We spoke about it on the bonus pod this week, talking about the Championship managerial merry-go-round, musical chairs, if you like. But on top of that, the suspensions to Cabango and Timon. I mean, poor old Darren O'Day is not getting the best version of his back line here. So I think that Bristol City are a good thing. Leyton Orient 3-4 at home to Blackpool. On the Monday pod, I went pretty big on how I think it's time for Orient to string together some results. I think the squad is there. I think the balance is there now. I think the attack is certainly there. What are they, joint top scorers in the league or second top scorers in the league? And the question mark is the defence. But I think with the back four that started the last game, the 2 midfielders in El Miz and Sean Clare, it's time, basically. And with Blackpool under Everett so far, they won the first 2 games that he was in charge without looking fluent at all and still facing an alarming amount of shots and chances, and then lost 1-0 at Burton in a result that just wasn't a great surprise. Injury issues continue. Peacock Farrell might be out, got injured on international duty. Casey, the centre-back, might be out as well. Definitely out. Husband, Albie Morgan, Dale Taylor, Niall Ennis, Danny Imray. They might have Coulson and Bowler back. There's lots of moving parts here, but the last time out, their bench had 2 wingers in Hansen and Banks, a fullback in Lyons, which for a team playing 3 at the back and wing backs, having 2 wingers on the bench isn't particularly helpful, and then 4 youth teamers, so still massively up against it. I think that Orient should win this one at home at 3-4. Barnet 13-10 at Gillingham. I watched Crawley at Gills last Saturday, and I saw a team that played much better football than Gillingham. And I don't just mean in an aesthetic way. I feel like Crawley's approach, albeit was more aesthetically pleasing than the way Gillingham play, I also thought it was more effective at them getting the ball into the final third, creating good chances. Crawley's problem is that they can't defend consistently for 90 minutes. They undermined their good work and they didn't take chances when they got them. But Gills' results have been poor for 2 months now after a good start to the season. They haven't won in 4 at home, 2 draws, 2 defeats, so certainly no fortress, Priestfield at the moment. And it's Barnet who can play as good a football as Crawley, play through the thirds like they did, move Gills around like they did. But I feel pretty strongly that they can play it in a more effective way and they can certainly defend their box better. And I think if they do that, they should win. And lastly, in the Eggman is MK Dons, my nap, as mentioned, away at Tranmere. So the Fivefold is in the Championship, Coventry and Bristol City. In League 1, Leyton Orient. And in League 2, MK Dons and Barnet. That's at 37.1 with Sky Bet.
Nice.
I should have asked you before I did that if you're swerving.
Yeah, I'm swerving.
Any of those?
Yep.
No,
none of those.
Oh,
I'm looking at the Steel City derby, and I'm finding it hard. This is the third time I've got against whoever Sheffield Wednesday are playing. Once it was successful, last time it wasn't against Southampton. But Blades are even money at Hillsborough to win.
Not for you.
It's so short for an away team, especially given how unbelievably emotionally charged this game is going to be for Wednesday fans. You've got to hope that Hillsborough is going to be rocking for the visit of Blades off the back of such a difficult start to the season. The arrival of Liam Cooper at Wednesday seems to have kind of really got a bit of belief amongst Wednesday fans for their ability to fight on. News coming out around, so many interested parties who've provided proof of funds ahead of looking to purchase the club, which is a massive positive thing. Interesting to note as well that Henrik Pedersen and Chris Wilder did a both in studio interview with BBC Radio Sheffield this week, which is surprising, I would say. And Wilder, who famously doesn't think much of Sheffield Wednesday and is a big blade, and was pretty happy to celebrate in front of the cameras after a win last season.
Sausage roll.
I can't imagine he's going to be singing derogatory songs about Henrik Pedersen after.
I thought you were going to, off the top of the dome there, try and fit Henrik Pedersen's name into something derogatory and or humorous.
Yeah, not really.
Best to leave it, I reckon.
Yeah, I thought something, I'm not going to say it. And
we've already had Portuguese pronunciation gate on this episode.
Is it all, it kind of felt, reading the quotes from Wilder, him being like, it's such a difficult situation for Henrik, and, I really feel for him. I experienced it at Northampton. It kind of felt like a bit of a moment for the whole derby, for Wilder to be saying that in the run up to a derby game. I don't know. I mean, it may not be reflected in the pitch, but it just felt like quite a good way to, a bad way to kind of get rid of the intensity that is obviously going to be around here for Blades. Whereas I think for Wednesday, there's going to be a massive desire for them to beat them, especially because Sheffield United are the team that don't sit too far above them in the league table. So, as I've said, I think Wednesday's performance at home against Oxford after the news first came out was really, really strong. It would completely put aside all the poor performances that we saw in front of an empty Hillsborough. And I'm just thinking that Blades are too short, and a lot of that is because of what we saw prior to the administration. So I think they're too short to win it.
Okay, mate. I think joint bet wise this week.
Yeah.
If that's what's coming next, and I believe it is. We thought, look, BTTS sixfold on a frozen weekend with a lot of games potentially being postponed didn't really appeal. We thought about it and we thought, what does appeal? We thought tricky conditions, cold legs, maybe some icy attacking performances. We thought what sort of goals might be scored. We thought set piece goals.
Yeah,
I like them. You like them. The EFL loves them.
If there are games, there are going to be set pieces. So.
Correct. There have to be, and we are picking a centre-back each to score for a CB Anytime Double at a big old price. Who are you putting forward?
In doing research for this, I've discovered one of the stranger kind of quirks. It reminds me a bit of Joe Rodon a couple of years ago when I discovered that he'd had about 7,000 shots without scoring a goal. Look at him now.
Shout out Jacob Badeau as well.
He's now Joe Rodon's now like a goal machine.
There you go.
This is going slightly against my whole making sure that games are going to be on, because I'm travelling to a game you already discussed. Sixfields, Northampton Town against Cardiff City. Now, the thing to note here is
you can't just call that game off just because it's cold, mate. Why are you calling off?
I hope it's not, I said.
No.
I'm not, if I was calling it off...
No, but you said you're going against my thing about like games that will probably be postponed.
About doing just Championship as my, Jesus.
Sixfields pitch is absolute carpet, mate.
Do you remember when I said that Carlisle had a poor pitch and just got absolutely... Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, do your research. Don't cut corners.
Yeah.
Cardiff's set-piece record...
Score from corners.
What?
Sorry. Score from corners. Don't cut corners. That's one of our mottos.
Yeah, that too. Cardiff's defending set piece record is not, well, they've only conceded 2 goals, but they conceded 75 shots, which is the third most of any team. Albeit the XG per shot isn't that bad, 4.13. But I do think there's an element where with Cardiff and a relatively young side, it's not a massive surprise to me to see that they're kind of losing first contact quite often at set pieces. And up against a Northampton side where, and a surprise to see that their set piece record from an attacking perspective isn't better than it is, but have seen a couple of centre-backs score set pieces already this season in Dyche, and I can't remember another one. But there's a player that it is definitely due, and at 6'4", will probably be the person getting that first contact when the balls do come in, and that is Conor McCarthy, who's 20 to 1 to any time with Sky Bet. Now, he hasn't scored since playing for St Mirren in the 21-22 season. But boy, it's not for lack of trying.
34 shots since then.
Have you just worked it out?
Yeah, I just worked it out.
So
love FB Ref. I love the functionality.
In the 2020-21 season, so the season before he had 19 shots, 1.53 XG, none scored, 0.75 expected goals on target. The season after that, 18 shots for St Mirren, 2.23 XG, 1.16 on target, scores a goal. The craziest one, though, is 23-24, where he played for Barnsley and only played 18 games, but had 14 shots, of which 1.19 XG.
He's playing for Swindon.
For Swindon on loan. Yeah, Swindon on loan.
How could you forget?
Yeah. And then this season, he's already had a couple of opportunities and went close against Lincoln with a shot with a 0.54 XG on target rating that didn't go in, but he's already amassing. That's amazing. 5 shots this season. Basically, he's someone that I think is going to score quite soon because he's racking up the XG numbers, he's racking up the shots, he's tall, he's going forward for every set piece. And if I am right, and if Northampton are able to capitalise on those opportunities, I think it's likely that he'll be the person to do so. So 20 to 1 about Conor McCarthy is my addition to this double.
Yeah, I'm in the Championship because the games won't be postponed in the Championship. And it's Portsmouth against Millwall.
That's off. Yeah, I'm joking.
Okay, he's so dry. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I'm going for Tristan Kramer at 25 to 1.
Who's doing silly pronunciations now?
Tristan Kramer, the beautiful Frenchman who plays for Millwall. Last heard on this podcast, acting as a nice segue into a NordVPN read on the Monday pod, and now in the betting show, it's part of our
what are you going to plug now?
CB Anytime Double. I'm going to plug him in at 25 to 1 into the double with Conor McCarthy. Now, Millwall are playing against Portsmouth, who behind Sheffield Wednesday have the second worst, or they are the second worst set piece defenders in the Championship by every metric, both overlying, goals conceded, and underlying, expected goals against, and mid-lying, shots faced, shots on target faced. Now, travelling to the South Coast, Millwall, you're thinking Big Jake Cooper, as was I, suspended. Leonard, the right back's injured, which means they're actually a bit light on defenders. It does mean I'm pretty confident of who's going to be playing. I think we might be looking at a Harding, Kramer, Taylor, Sturge back four. And between Kramer and Taylor, I'm tempted to back big Caleb Taylor because he's such a big lad and he's the obvious Jake Cooper replacement. He's 14 to 1 and Kramer is 25 to 1. I think the difference in price is hard to explain away just because Taylor's a bit taller and has a slightly better goal scoring record. But Kramer's already got one this season from a set piece against Stoke. And with Cooper out the side, he's going to be naturally a much more of a target than he ordinarily would be for these. And so I think the 25 to 1 reflects value. So if we have Tristan, lovely Tristan, at 25 to 1. And on top of that, we are selecting Conor McCarthy at 20 to 1. Well, you know the rest. The double is at 546.
That'll be fun.
546. And that's the joint bet this weekend. Thank you very much for listening and to Sky Bet for sponsoring the NTT20 betting show. George, recap your selections.
My nap, Bristol City to beat Swansea at 23 to 20, Stoke at 13 to 5, away at Leicester My next best, a couple of goal scorers, half a point, Joe Gelhardt at 4-1 for Hull away at QPR, and 11-1 Lewis O'Brien for Wrexham away at Ipswich, and then swerving Sheffield United at even money away at Sheffield Wednesday in the Steel City derby. And my selection for the big price Goalscorer Double, centre-back Goalscorer Double, is Conor McCarthy of Northampton Town, home to Cardiff at 20-1.
Thanks for that, Phil. My picks are MK Dons, Nap, 29-20 away at Tranmere. Goalscorer Corner has Laurent Talai, 1.3-1 for Argyle against Port Vale. Cameron McGeehan for Cobblers at home to Cardiff, 1 point at 5-1. Owen Bailey for Donny at Stevenage, half a point at 13-2. The Eggman at 37.1 has Coventry and Bristol City in the Championship, has Leyton Orient in League One, and has Barnet and MK Dons in League Two. The joint bet is a CB Anytime Double at 545-1 with Sky Bet. Tristan Kramer, 25-1, and Conor McCarthy, 20-1.
Who's Phil?
Thanks for that, Phil. It's a reference.
Okay.
The In-Betweeners.
Yeah, for the kids.
For the kids. Cheers for listening. Hit the reverters. Go well.